Hey, this is Eric Hunter here, and I want to talk about moving your pendulum. All right, now a few years back, I went to the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles, and there are a lot of people there using pendulums. So they would come up to my booth and they would be surprised because they weren't used to seeing pendulums that were so high vibration, like things like this one, like this purple goddess, super high vibration. So energy sensitives, clairvoyants, et cetera, like, whoa, and they would stop and they would look. But the thing that really surprised me was how many people would take the pendulum, and I designed my pendulums to move very easily. I designed them to be very lively. So they're very well balanced, and it's very easy to get a response from them. And the reason why it's easy to get a response from them with very subtle movements of your hand is because that's the way that you get answers when you're doing dowsing. If you hold a pendulum and it doesn't move very well, you're not going to be able to get clear answers. I've had a lot of pendulums in the past that when I first started off, that you would hold them and they would just like barely move, or they would just kind of move. But these pendulums are designed to be lively. Anyway, back to my story. So these people would take one of my pendulums and it would start moving immediately, which is a great thing. You want it to move. And they would be like, oh, and then they would be like trying to get it like perfectly still. And maybe like wouldn't breathe and just kind of holding it and trying to get it perfectly still, as if that would help them to get a more accurate answer, which now I'm not making fun of these people. They just learn the wrong way. So what's the moral of this? So the thing, or the story, why am I telling you the story? The thing is, you want your pendulum to move, because movement is what gives you the answers that when you're doing dowsing. If your pendulum is still, it cannot show you a response. So it has to move. So if you inhibit movement by trying to keep your pendulum still, you are blocking your ability to get a response from your pendulum, and you're going to fail at the dowsing, or it's going to be much more difficult than it needs to be. So what you got to get into the habit of doing is, number one, finding a lively pendulum. So when you pick up a pendulum, if it's going to be good for dowsing, it should start moving immediately the second you hold it, with very, very subtle movements of your hand. Okay, now the other thing is, if it's not moving, just make it move. Get it moving. Don't hold back. Don't be so tight. All right. It's not going to make it more accurate starting off with the still pendulum. You want the thing to move so that you can get a response. That's the whole point. So get it moving, and then once it's moving, then you ask your question. Now, a lot of you do it this way, where you hold it in the air and you say like a yes or a no. That's fine. I recommend using a chart. Personally, I think it's way more accurate. But if you do it that way, the key thing is that whether you use a chart or you hold it in the air, whoever you're doing it, please don't start with the still pendulum. Get the pendulum to move, because holding it still is working against you. It is stopping you from getting an accurate answer, because your hand can't move and it can't register the answer that you need. So that's the thing. Now, a related concept with all of this is that a lot of the people who hold it still, and you may be one of them, don't get me wrong, I'm not judging you. I'm just trying to, after years and years of experience, I'm just trying to share some wisdom, and take it if it works for you. Okay, now another thing I found is that a lot of the people who hold it still also think that a spirit or something is moving it. And that's not the case at all. It is 100% your hand that is moving the pendulum. Nothing is causing the pendulum to move other than subtle movements of your hand. This is very easy to prove to yourself. If you just take a pendulum and tie it to something here, I'll do it right now. I'm just going to take this light stand that was next to me. Here, I'm just going to, sorry about the noise and stuff. All right, here we go. So I'm just going to tie the pendulum on here, just wrap it around a few times. And what you will find if you do this is that unless a strong wind blows or there's an earthquake or something like that, your pendulum here, I'll just get you here, your pendulum will never move. So once it's still, it will not move. So, right now I'm holding the tripod, so it's moving a tiny bit. But if you mount it to a stationary object, it will not move. So, and like I said, right now I'm holding the tripod, so this wasn't the best example, I guess. But the basic idea there, I'll try to see if I can get it still. Tripod moves out. So basically, unless there's something moving in the environment, it's not going to move. And in most cases, it's going to be your hand if you're holding it. So that's the point I'm getting at. Pendulums do not move on their own. If you want to get an answer from a pendulum, the pendulum has got to move. So get your pendulum moving. Don't hold back. Don't be stiff. Don't be tight. Don't try to be controlling. It's not going to make it more accurate. In fact, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to make it less accurate. The more your pendulum moves in the beginning, the more, and during the process, the more accurate your dowsing will be. All right, well, I hope you found this useful. If you did, just like the video. Check out my website, pendulumalchemy.com. I have lots of great information there, including a free dowsing course to help you learn how to become more accurate with dowsing and getting answers with your pendulum. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.